Welcome back to The Explainer. Listen, if you are currently grinding through your prep for the Cambridge AS and A-Level 9706 accounting exams, you already know the brutal truth. Mastering the numbers, honestly, that is only half the battle, maybe even less. Year after year, when I sit down and pore over the principal examiner reports, there is a massive, glaring hurdle that trips up even the most mathematically gifted students. Candidates consistently, almost predictably, stumble over the fundamental theory. Examiners are literally writing in their reports that the core accounting concepts, consistency, prudence, realization, duality, materiality, and objectivity, are among the most misunderstood, poorly applied areas in the entire syllabus. But we're going to fix that right here, right now in this explainer. I'm taking off the instructor hat and putting on the examiner's lens. We're going to decode exactly what the Cambridge assessment architects are looking for. Our goal today is to stop you from bleeding easy marks and start structuring your responses like a true top-tier candidate.
So this brings us to a really massive high-stakes question. Why do students find evaluating evidence and drawing conclusions so incredibly hard? I see it all the time. It is a source of massive exam anxiety. You can perfectly balance a complex balance sheet under pressure, but the second a 15-mark question asks you to, quote-unquote, evaluate an accounting treatment based on core principles, total brain freeze. The mind just goes blank. Well, let's break down the anatomy of these command words. Cambridge isn't just testing your ability to memorize rules. They are testing logical, structured reasoning. When they say analyze, they want you to break the data into parts, but when they say evaluate, that is a whole different beast. That means judging the value, making a ruling, weighing the pros and cons. When they ask you to explain, they want the how and why. But to what extent? That's a trap if you just list facts. You have to give a definitive judgment. Top-performing students exhibit this connected, conceptual understanding that they can just seamlessly transfer to totally unfamiliar contexts. Simply put, if you can't evaluate the evidence, you absolutely cannot reach those highest marking bands.
Okay, let's get right into the blueprint. Here's our roadmap for this session. First, we'll establish the core principles. Second, we'll map out the procedural framework. Third, we'll tackle critical analysis. And finally, we will expose the top examiner traps.
Starting with Section 1, Core Principles. Cambridge expects its top candidates to deeply intuitively understand the bedrock of accounting theory. We're talking about consistency, prudence, realization, duality, materiality, and objectivity. Now, to make this real, let's picture two typical scholars I work with. We'll call them Alex and Sam. Now, Alex is highly technical, right? Incredible with formulas, never misses a calculation, but really struggles with open-ended evaluation. Alex looks at these 6 words and sees vocabulary to memorize for a multiple-choice question. Then you have Sam. Sam is a creative thinker, amazing at forming arguments, but totally struggles with structural precision and timing. Sam tries to write an essay on these without any hard data. Both approaches fail the Cambridge standard. In the 9706 syllabus, these 6 concepts are not just flashcards. They're your primary analytical tools. In the exam, you're going to be thrown into complex, unfamiliar, messy business scenarios. Examiners want to see you extract the relevant data and filter it through these exact concepts. Think about it. When a business randomly changes its depreciation method to boost profits, are they violating consistency? Are they overstating assets and therefore completely ignoring prudence? You and our hypothetical students Alex and Sam must grasp these conceptually to apply them flexibly.
And this conceptual grasp builds directly into the Cambridge grading structure. Look at this breakdown. The assessment objectives, or AOs, target 3 cognitive domains: knowledge and understanding, which is AO1, analysis, which is AO2, and evaluation, which is AO3. Now, successful candidates demonstrate competence across all 3. But the absolute most crucial takeaway here is that the assessment framework heavily, and I mean heavily, prioritizes analytical depth over superficial breadth. Let's go back to our student Alex. Alex might write 3 beautiful paragraphs just defining what objectivity means. But guess what? Alex is completely stuck in that first column, knowledge and understanding. To move into analysis and evaluation, to reach AO2 and AO3, you have to actually break down the scenario. You have to compare different approaches and judge the real-world impact of applying or failing to apply these principles. That is where the heavy, grade-defining marks live.
Moving on to Section 2, the procedural framework.
Okay, so knowing the concepts is great, but how on earth do you systematically get them onto the page when the clock is ticking down and the pressure's on? I call this the method mark strategy. Look, before we solve this next piece, I'm going to pause this session for a quick second. If you are serious about crushing these exams, you need consistent strategy. So right now, hit that subscribe button for the Ace the Exams IGCSE O&A Levels channel. That's at acetheexam_IGCSE, and make sure you turn on all notifications. Ring that bell so you never miss a weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategy like the one we're about to cover. All right, let's get back to it. Cambridge awards marks heavily for your process, not just your final numerical answer. Let's look at Alex and Sam again. They are doing a practice paper, working on a massive 15-mark essay, and they hit a total roadblock. They are arguing over how to start. Sam wants to jump straight into arguing theory. Alex wants to just do the math. Here's the cognitive strategy to get unstuck. It's a strict 5-step sequence. Step 1, deconstruct the question and extract the raw data. Step 2, select your analytical framework. Which of the 6 core concepts actually applies here? Step 3, execute your analysis with clear, legible notation. Step 4, verify your results. And Step 5, present your findings. If you skip straight to the answer without showing this systematic processing, you are leaving guaranteed method marks on the table. Examiners want to see the tracks in the snow.
And speaking of tracks in the snow, let's talk about the physical layout of your paper, because your presentation matters immensely. The syllabus is incredibly explicit here. Presentation of information follows strict conventions. Proper headings, correct terminology, appropriate formats, and clear annotation are non-negotiable. Think about examiner fatigue. They are grading hundreds of these. Practical application in Accounting 9706 is fundamentally about developing professional skills. If an examiner has to hunt through a messy, chaotic page of scratchpad math just to find your final conclusion, you are not demonstrating professional competence. You have to format your answers as if you are literally presenting them to a board of directors. Make it impossible for them to miss your brilliant points.
Let's jump into Section 3, Executing Critical Analysis.
All right, let's make this an interactive workshop. If you want an A or an A star, this is unequivocally the most crucial part of this entire explainer. I want you to imagine a 60-second visual timer on the screen right now. The higher-order assessment objectives demand that you evaluate alternatives and provide justified recommendations. But what does evaluate actually mean in the trenches of this syllabus? Evaluation of evidence quality requires identifying limitations, the assumptions made, alternative interpretations, and their effect on the final conclusions. When a question hits you with "to what extent," you cannot just list the pros and cons like a grocery list. You have to weigh the evidence. What underlying assumptions is the business making when they value their inventory this way? What are the limitations of applying the materiality concept in this specific, highly volatile scenario? Your job is to poke holes in the data and show the examiner you see the bigger picture.
Let's play Spot the Flaw. This perfectly illustrates the difference between an average, mediocre paper and a top-tier paper. Imagine our student Alex writes the answer on the left. It's at a purely descriptive level. Alex is just stating superficial facts, regurgitating the 6 core concepts, basically saying, the business used the prudence concept here. It's broad, but it's completely shallow. Now look at the evaluative level on the right. This is where we want Sam to be, combining strong arguments with precision. At this level, the candidate is actively questioning assumptions, considering different stakeholder perspectives, and most importantly, justifying every single decision with hard evidence extracted from the source material. Top-scoring candidates don't just tell the examiner what happened. They explain exactly why it matters, what the ripple effects are, and what the business should do about it. That is the gold standard.
Finally, Section 4, Top Examiner Traps.
So, despite knowing all of this, where does it all go so horribly wrong on exam day? We've done a full autopsy on past examination failures by pulling data straight from the Cambridge Principal Examiner reports. These are the exact recurring traps that catch candidates out every single year. First, look at this direct quote. This is a massive examiner alert. Candidates consistently confuse key terminology. The reports note over and over that students under pressure frequently mix up prudence with realization or consistency with objectivity. It sounds crazy right now, but panic does weird things to your memory. The strategy to beat this trap is incredibly simple but so easily forgotten. Always define your terms before you use them in an extended response. Take the 10 seconds to write it out. Setting your definitions first anchors your entire essay, and it immediately proves to the examiner that you are operating from a foundation of clear, unshakable knowledge.
Digging even deeper into the examiner reports, we have isolated the top 3 specific, fatal mistakes. Number 1, using the wrong approach for the wrong context. You might write a genuinely brilliant, beautifully worded paragraph on duality, but if the question prompt was subtly testing materiality, you score an absolute 0. You answered a question they didn't ask. Number 2, forgetting the check format and presentation. We talked about this. Dropping proper headings, missing your units, or failing to clearly annotate your workings will bleed away easy method marks. Don't throw away points on sloppy formatting. And number 3, which is perhaps the most fatal of all, writing answers that are not specific to the given context. You absolutely cannot use pre-memorized, generic answers. You must apply the theory directly to the specific stimulus material and the specific business provided in the exam paper. Listen.
Exam conditions are intensely stressful, and cognitive overload is a very real danger. When you're staring down a 15-mark evaluation question with 5 minutes left, you need a lifeline. So here is an actionable memory hack to pull it all together. Create an acronym for these 6 core concepts. For example, CPR-DMO. Think of it as CPR does matter objectively. Consistency, prudence, realization, duality, materiality, objectivity. Having a quick mnemonic device like this allows you to systemically process the principles right there in the margin of your paper. It ensures you don't accidentally forget to analyze a scenario through every possible theoretical lens before you start drafting your response. It's all about synthesizing this masterclass into core pillars. You do a 3-step question scan, you ensure the paragraph balance formula we talked about, and you run a last 5 minutes review checklist to catch those formatting errors.
Ultimately, cracking the Cambridge 9706 syllabus comes down to completely shifting your mindset. You are not just a human calculator. Here is the true test of mastery. Ask yourself constantly, are your conclusions built on mere facts, or are they powerfully justified by a critical evaluation of limitations and evidence? The next time you sit down with a past paper, don't just calculate. Deconstruct, evaluate, justify. Keep these core principles front and center, follow the strict procedural framework, and always question the assumptions. If you do that, you'll be writing exactly what the examiners are waiting to read. Now, crushing Cambridge exams requires consistent, relentless strategy. So before you go, hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exam's IGCSE O and A levels at @AceTheExam IGCSE. Turn on the notification bell so you catch all our future exam hacks, and drop a comment down below with your exact target grade. Put it out there, into the universe. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and good luck with your exam prep. You've got this.